exciting, Mr. Chairman. It just so happens that Judge Boasberg gets the case. They had it all lined up.
Randomly selected.
Right in there. It's just like Juan Merchan got the Steve Bannon case and all the Trump cases and Stormy Daniels case. It just happens to be this one judge out of hundreds in New York gets all the Trump cases. It's just amazing that.
Well, you're right. It's supposed to be random. But Judge Boasberg could recuse himself from this case if there's a perceived bias, a potential for bias, if there's a conflict. Well, I think there's a lot of people who think there's a bias. After all, as you mentioned, Benny, this is the guy who said, turn the flight around, bring all the bad guys, the hardened criminals who were here illegally, who did terrible things, bring those folks back to America. This is the judge who was there on the FISA court when they issued the warrants to spy on President Trump's campaign 8 years ago. So there's a history there, and yet, no recusal. He's going to get the case. And then, as you point out, Norm Eisen, by the way, Norm Eisen is the guy the Democrats on the Judiciary Committee hired to come in for the impeachment of President Trump back when we were defending President Trump, the whole call with Ukraine and all. Norm Eisen's that guy, and they had that lawsuit ready to go. Go figure.
Go figure. All right. So what's going to happen next? This entire thing doesn't seem like it's working with the American people. How are they going to skin this cat, so to speak? You know more about this process than me. What does it hinge on? Like what's classified and what's not?
Well, here's what I know, and I think this is probably where the American people are. We know that no Americans were injured or killed, as far as we know, in the attack. We know the bad guys, terrorists, were killed. We know that the White House told us there wasn't classified information. They told us that yesterday, and the operation was a success. So I think the American people are like, okay, let's move on here. I think that's what the American people take away from it, not the left. They're always looking for something to go after President Trump, and I guess this is the latest. We'll just see. But I don't think the American people fall for this stuff anymore because we've been through this history. Yeah. Trump, Russia was a bunch of garbage. The Mueller report told us. Then it was impeachment. Then it was, then we're going to raid his home. Then it was all Fani Willis, Alvin Bragg, Jack Smith, all of it baloney. So I think the American people are like, okay, we get it. We know this operation was a success. We think Mike Walls, Pete Hegseth, John Radcliffe, Tulsi Gabbard are patriots. They love our country, and we're going to move forward.
So it's interesting that you bring up the Mar-a-Lago raid because we have the actual charging documents here from justice.gov, Jack Smith's own documents here, Mr. Chairman. It says willful retention of national defense information is what they got Trump for. Oh boy, what did he do? Donald Trump had unauthorized possession and access to control over documents relating to national defense. Well, hot damn. Sure sounds like Jeffrey Goldberg.
Well, it sure sounds like Joe Biden what he had in different locations in the library, in his home, in the basement of it. It was like, oh, you got to be kidding. And remember with President Trump too, I think this is what, if I remember correctly, they told President Trump, take these documents, lock him in a room, and he did what they told him, and then they still raid his home. Again, I think the American people saw all that for what it was. Judge Eileen Cannon certainly saw it for what it was. This Jack Smith wasn't even appointed in a way that was consistent with our Constitution. So, but again, the pattern of just going the left going after it, and now we have this. We'll have to wait and see how this shakes out. But what we're going to focus on, like we always do, is getting the facts to the American people.
So Judge Boasberg has been in the news quite a bit, and he's drawn the ire of the president's administration, Stephen Miller, and now your committee, where you're going to be launching an investigation. What do you expect to do with that investigation? Sure.
Well, there's several remedies to this. What these judges and the actions they're taking. Some are issuing injunctions that apply nationwide. So we have legislation that we passed a couple weeks ago. Representative Ice has got a good bill. We passed it out of our committee. The speaker's going to bring it to the floor, and it says if you got a judge in Timbuktu, California, and they issue some injunction, it shouldn't apply nationwide. It should apply only to the parties of the case in that respective jurisdiction. So we got legislative ways we can deal with some of this. We have the appropriations process. I mean, we want to make sure our judges have the security they need. We want to make sure Americans get access to justice. But there may be some things we can do using the power of the purse to let these judges know, hey, let's focus on the facts, and let's remember that the president is the head of the executive branch, for goodness sake, elected by the American people. Some judge appointed was not. So there's that avenue. And then, of course, there's oversight, which is what we do a lot of on the Judiciary and the Oversight Committee. So we're going to start that. We have a hearing scheduled for next Tuesday. We're going to announce those witnesses soon. And then I believe Chairman Grassley on the Senate is going to have a hearing on the following day, next Wednesday, where we begin to dig into this issue and look at Judge Boasberg, where this order made no sense, and then this injunction issue and the need for this legislation to become the law.
So we have a clip here, and I know that we're up against a hard out, so we're not going to play it, but it's of the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, saying and causing quite a few shockwaves, saying, yeah, you know what? It is actually Congress's job to determine which judicial districts get funding.
Yeah.
And that's a weapon. That's a tool if things get out of hand inside of these districts. Do you support the defunding of judicial districts?
What I support is I've talked to the appropriations chair looking at this, and are there ways that we can deal with the appropriation process that won't hurt Americans' access to justice, access to the court, and won't hurt the security. Remember, the security is important, because remember what happened after the Dobbs leak. There was an assassination attempt on Justice Kavanaugh. So we want to make sure security is there, but there are other areas. We spend a lot of money that we should take a hard look at. That's part of our job. And the founders, they envisioned the separate and equal branches of government. They envisioned the real power and authority that the legislative branch has, because that's where they put the power of the purse and the power to tax, and specifically in the House. So it's something we have to focus on, I think, as we begin to look at all the injunctions and all the orders against President Trump. They're so disproportional to every other president in modern history. It shows, I think, this bias. And then Judge Boasberg, but he was also the judge that gave Kevin Kleinsmith, Benny, you remember this. Kevin Kleinsmith is the lawyer who lied to the FISA court. He altered a document, made it 180 degrees opposite of what it was intended to say, took that to the court. And Boasberg was part of that too, where Kleinsmith got a slap on the wrist for lying to a court as a member of the bar. You got to be kidding me. So that's the history of this guy. And it starts to look like this Boasberg guy is operating in a purely political fashion. Well, if that's the case, then there may be some funding that we need to look at.
Yeah, it really is existential, because at some point, we're talking about the Signal chat, and I'm actually really proud reading these messages. I'm like, whoa, this is kick-ass. You got these guys who clearly are saying what they mean. They say the same thing publicly as they say behind the scenes. They're arguing for America first. They're smart. They're tactical. They're weighing the pros and cons. It's very intelligent. It's sharp as a tack. And I'm like reading this. I'm like, wow, this is awesome, actually, to see the insights here.
That's funny. I'm just gonna say, as you go through that, I haven't seen today's story yet, so I want to go through and read it,
sure.
and then I'll. But the way you're describing it, remember what they said about the phone call between President Trump and President Zelensky as the basis for impeachment, and then President Trump did something that they didn't think he would do. He released the transcript of the perfect call, and we got to read it. We got to see the context and the actual language. You're like, okay, no problem there with that phone call. So I want to read what you described. I have not had a chance to look at the article yet, and I'm going to.
Yeah, particularly J.D. Vance's take on this, because he's pushing back and he's saying Americans don't want to start new wars. We don't want to bomb anything. And actually, this is Europe's problem. So why not have Europe deal with it? Why can't they send their own missiles?
I did see that in the first story, I think yesterday or the day before, but I haven't read today's story yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the point is that you want to be upfront and you want to have clarity with the American people. And when you're running these kind of things through judges like this, and you're doing the lawsuits the way that they're doing them right afterwards, it seems like a massive setup. It seems like the entire op. Mike Waltz, Mike Waltz. He's a friend of the show. He's a smart guy. Anytime we needed a really sharp take on what's happening geopolitically, we bring on Mike Waltz. The entire operation, Mr. Chairman, and you've been part of so many hoaxes. You are like the king of debunking hoaxes on the Hill. You have the crown. What's your ruling on this? It all smells really bad. Mike Waltz says he doesn't even know the guy. So how's he get added to the chat?
Yeah, I don't get all that either. I think this is just, look, we got to get more information. I think But you're right on so many of these others. The other investigation we've done, the only thing we get wrong at the beginning is it always turns out to be worse than we thought. So the idea that they had this, I mean, that's a 1 day, 24-hour turn a brief around and have this suit. That's pretty quick. Maybe they did it, but we got to kind of see. What I do know is the guy Norm Eisen, as you pointed out. I know Norm Eisen's history. I know he was the guy on Judiciary Committee that the Democrats went out and got and brought him in specifically to impeach President Trump.
All right. Well, the final question. I had to. I'm going to change topic slightly here, but I think you're going to love it. The final question for you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Fani
Willis spotting at the airport. She's eating fast food. She's wandering around with Nathan Wade. Nathan Wade's carrying her bags, and Big Fani and Nathan are schlepping through the airport, flying coach now. And I see that big grin on your face.
Well,
I can't help myself. I got to get your take on this.
Yeah, that whole case was, everyone knows that whole case was ridiculous, using a RICO. I mean, like, you got to be kidding me. And then when we deposed Nathan Wade, he couldn't remember anything. We had his billing records. He billed for time coming to D.C., talking with people. And we asked him, where did that meeting take place? I don't know. We go, did it take place? Our lawyers asking him, and he goes, yeah, it took place because I billed for it. And he goes, was it in person? Was it via Zoom? Was it in DC? I can't remember. He couldn't recall anything. The whole case was ridiculous. And the good news is the American people understand that whole case was ridiculous.
All right. Well, hard times for Fani. We hope that she enjoys her. Remember, she likes vodka. Okay, she's a vodka girl. And wherever they're going, we really wish them the best. Please don't come back. Actually, maybe it's a one-way flight. We're not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe Guantanamo. We don't know, Mr. Chairman. We do know that you must follow. You must follow Representative Jim Jordan, and he's the man who was sitting front row with Trump at the NCAA's. Such an awesome event.
That's a fun night.
He's a fighter.
That heavyweight match, you know wrestling, Benny. That heavyweight match was a great match. They could wrestle that match 10 times, and Stevenson wins 9 of them. But Wyatt Hendrickson, I think, won because his commander-in-chief was there watching. I think that was the inspiration, extra little motivation he needed to beat, as you know, the baddest guy on the planet in heavyweight is Gable Stevenson. So it was a lot of fun.
So you were cheering for Oklahoma. This might lose you some votes. I'm sorry.
Well, the new coach at Oklahoma State's actually wrestled at our high school. David Taylor, great talent, as you know, as well, Olympic champ as well. So Oklahoma State had a good tournament.
All right, there we go. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Everyone follow Jim Jordan. Someday will be as big of an influencer as Jim Jordan. 6.2 million subscribers there on X. Godspeed.
Yeah, you too. Take care.